Me and my crusty heels are ready to start this episode whenever you are. I'm going to go right to the pedicure place. I also need to go to Costco so bad.
For hot dogs?
Yes. And I got a membership months ago and had that rotten experience there, which is so unlike Costco. And I need to go and get my card. But you got to go during the week, earlier in the day. Someone had posted that they took their Costco picture with a hot dog. So I'm going to try to do that.
Oh, yeah. A couple people. That's becoming like a trend now.
That's cool. So I want to see if they'll let me
Yeah, but
do
like
it.
now everyone's doing it.
I know, but
you could mix it. Oh, no, they don't have that. Do a chicken bake.
or a pizza slice.
Or pizza,
whatever I want to do. Welcome to Disrespectfully
With Katie Maloney.
and Dayna Kathan.
Unapologetically.
We're here to do what we want to do.
Spilling the tea.
Babe, you're going to see the power of women. Like,
Disrespectfully. I had corn dog at Disneyland.
is it good?
It was, I had never been to the corn dog castle there at California Adventure.
Never even heard of that.
I know. Well, it's like way down, like when you're walking towards like Goofy Sky School,
I don't
towards
know
like the
anything by name.
swings, towards the like, yeah, that other stuff on the other end. It's over there. And it was fantastic.
Love that for you.
I know. They were like, do you want potato chips or a cutie, like an orange? And I was like, it comes with a side?
Okay, healthy.
Yeah.
Also, I love when people give me chips as an option instead of French fries.
Yeah, you're weird. And you
That's
don't
so
like-
randomly that so seldom happens, and I think it should happen more in the world. There are others out there that are just too scared to come forward. Other people don't like French fries. I know it.
I know, but they're so universally loved that it's hard to imagine.
Next time someone offers me a French fry, I'm gonna be like, "Do you have any scalloped potatoes?
Do you have any potatoes au gratin?
Do you have a baked potato? Do you have a potato in
Ooh.
literally any other form?
Ooh.
Mashed?
I had a really good twice baked potato from the Benjamin. And it's good West Hollywood or it's Melrose and like La Brea, basically. They had this baked potato and you could get everything on it. You could even get caviar on it. This shit was delicious. We got to go there. The food was fantastic.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that. But and also potato skins, which we love.
Oh, yeah.
Big
TGI
fans.
Fridays with your potato skins. Thank you.
Well, I think they have potato options at that bar I was telling you about yesterday that we need to try out.
Oh, yeah,
that
let's
I've
go there.
heard a lot about, but I haven't been there. So
Same.
we need to go. I'm really excited.
I keep
to.
forgetting that it's there because it's so like low key.
Except for the
That's what-
giant sign, but yeah.
Well, I know, but it's not like on the main drag of things. And so
Well, and it's next to a car shop. Like it's so random, like
that's
car fixing
Screams
place.
Valley to me.
What do we? Yeah, it does. It's what do you call that? Like a repair.
Auto shop, auto body
Yeah,
shop.
the car store fix place. That's where it is. Happy Friday.
Happy Free Day. You went to Beyonce last night,
I did.
but you can't.
Well, I
speak
just
on it
already
yet.
inherently know that I levitated, so I can talk more about that next week. Yeah, I've had a great time. I've had a wonderful time. I know my outfit looked amazing. Everyone loved it.
Everyone loved it.
Someone just commented on something and was like, "Your earrings are hideous. Who would wear cigarette earrings?" I'm sorry that you lack taste, Karen.
Ugh, God, people have no fun. Imagine just being a little angry troll that just goes and like says negative things online.
Yeah, it's like that. When
How do you look people in the eye and pretend that you don't do that?
No, I love that sound of Chapel Roan being like, VIP thinks they're too cool to do this. You aren't fun. I'm like, you guys, earth, rock, space, fire, dying. Have some fun. Wear something that pisses people off sometimes.
Yeah.
Most of my outfits piss
I
my
also
sister
like,
off. But
but I don't like being yelled at like that. And it's like giving the energy of like, smile. Like I'll lay down and take a nap if someone tells me to have more fun and I'm not fun. I will lay down and take a nap.
Reb, friend of the pod, read this thing where someone was in the comments was doing all these different what they say to men to piss them off. And one of them was like, when a man tells me to smile, I say you first. And after they smile, I say good boy and walk away. Also, I do
That's
need to
great.
start keeping blood capsules in my bag because fake blood capsules. I did see one that was like when someone tells you to smile, you should put a blood capsule and chew it and then smile with blood coming out. I love that.
That you just start carrying those.
No,
for
that's
real.
very me coded. I mean, there's ducks in my purse. Who knows what's next?
I know, but how
and
do
my
you
taser.
time that, or we just do it while you're walking around and like look like pissed
No,
off?
when someone says it, you're supposed to
hold on.
politely you just politely turn your head.
I know, but usually it's so quick. You got time for that? You
Yeah,
gotta-
real basement behavior when I don't know why they do that or they won't give it up. I remember when I was bartending at Tom Tom, I used to get that a lot. And I'm like, why would I smile? I feel no joy here. And it's 10 deep and everyone's asking for 5 different craft cocktails at 1 a.m. and are very drunk.
yeah.
Bugging me.
People, same thing. They've said like, oh, she's just this miserable gray cloud or something like that. I'm like, why? Because I'm not cheery and I'm not bubbly. That's not who I am. People need to recognize that like personalities come in different flavors. You know what I mean? There's the bubbly type that are like smiley by nature and have like a da-da-da to them. I'm not. I know I'm a little like doom and gloom, but like that doesn't mean I'm not happy. It doesn't mean I'm miserable. And I don't need to smile all the time.
I mean, also, well, moods are dynamic, like Ticketmaster pricing, as we were discussing. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, whatever. Should I tell my story?
Yes.
I know this is a Hometown Hero WWDD situation, and I wasn't sure if I was ever going to talk about this on the podcast, but I do want to tell it because I think it's kooky, and I wonder what other people think about it. So the last time I had dated someone, I met them on a dating app, and it was in November of last year, and he was older. He was like 12 years older than me or something.
I feel like this was almost like 6 months ago. That's crazy. It feels like it was more recent, but
things happened very quickly. Like we were like texting before our first date, and it was like getting really like we had crazy chemistry. Like that's undeniable. And before our first date, he actually ended up coming over to my house to make out. Like that's how like intense it was and how much we like immediately liked each other, and nothing else happened. We didn't sleep together. And we go out, and I know that this is going to sound insane, but he told me he loved me after 3 dates. Mind you, I said to all my friends, I was like, look, this could be love bombing. I'm sure it is, but I'm having a great time. And I really do feel like I'm falling in love with this person. And I will say that has happened in the world, right? Sometimes people do just fall in love immediately. And I was like, so honestly, I want to go with this flow. He had kids. Obviously, that was very separated, which is great. And he was a good dad. I'll say that. And like things were just getting really intense. And we were planning on going to Cabo together for Thanksgiving. Okay. We're looking at flights, and this is weeks into dating. So that's how like intense and insane it was. But we were just obsessed with each other, and he smoked. So in the morning we'd have coffee and a cigarette, and I was just literally living my dream. So things are like going along. I'm like, wow, this might be my person. Like, I don't know what's going on. I haven't felt anything like this in years. So one night I was getting dinner with my friends, and he almost fell asleep, which was he worked a lot, had kids. So I get it. You're tired a lot. He napped. I'm passionate about naps. So like one time I went over there and napped with him. Like after Halloween, I went over to his place, and it was only like 9, and we got right in bed, and I was like, sure, like we're just going to go right to sleep. That's fine. And I actually feel like I did like sleeping with him, which was crazy.
See?
So I was like, maybe that's a sign, whatever. So I'm out with my friends, and I ended up going to his, and he had almost fallen asleep. And he was like, if I fell asleep, come over, wake me up. Like, I want you to don't let me fall asleep. So this one night I'm with a bunch of friends, and I told him I was going to come to his place at 8:30, and it was like 5:00, and he was like, great, I'm about to take a nap. Come over, text me when you're on your way. That is the last thing that he said to me. So I'm leaving. It's like 8:15. I call him because I had a feeling he was asleep, and I was like, he didn't answer. So I was like, he probably fell asleep. And I was kind of going back and forth as to whether I should go. But I was like, I mean, we have plans. It's not like his kids were there. Like we had a plan and a time, and he had told me the previous week, wake me up. So I go over to his place, and I had texted him. And I was like, okay, I feel like you fell asleep, but I'm going to come over still. I hope this isn't crazy. Like I was feeling worried about it. So I show up to his place, and he doesn't have a normal doorbell. So I went, and his room was near the front door, and I could tell like the lights were off. Like I could tell he was asleep. So I knock, I wait, I don't hear anything. I knock again, I wait, I don't hear anything. And then I went, and I was like, well, his window, I like tapped lightly. I wasn't like banging. I was like knocking on his window. And again, I gave everyone the full perspective because I'm like, am I crazy? Did I do something wrong? I knock again. I'm like knocking harder. I could hear his dog kind of rustling around. So I was like, okay, maybe he's going to wake up. And then the last time I knocked, it had been like 5 minutes. I had like paused and texted him, and I was like, okay, now I do feel like a crazy person. Like I'm outside. So on the last knock, I used the corner of my phone, I have a silicone phone case, but I knew it would make a louder noise. So I did a louder knock, like go, 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 go. And then I paused, and I was like, okay, I'm about to leave. And he calls me. I answer the phone, and he goes, is that you at my fucking door? I'm sleeping. Jesus Christ. And hangs up on me. And I'm so taken aback by how he spoke to me, and that and his temper and whatever. And I paused, and I waited for a minute because I thought he yelled at me, but he was going to come get the door, and then we were going to talk about it or something. A minute goes by. He does not come to the door. So I was like, oh, you're yelling at me and telling me to leave, and you're not coming to the door. So I get in my car. I'm like driving in absolute silence. And it was also the thing that we were talking from sun up to sundown, and he got up really early. So he always texted me in the morning 100% of the time. So I'm feeling like sick to my stomach. I'm like, oh my God, you're crazy. That like looked so bad. Like, why did you do that? And I get home and I get up in the morning and he hadn't said anything to me. So I sent him a really nice text message. And in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have started it with like, I'm not looking for a response, but I just want to give context. And I kind of laid out the things that I had told him, which were, you told me to come wake you up. We had plans at a set time. I got there at the time. I figured that you would get up. Like, and also you took a nap at 5. I didn't think you'd be sleeping from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. Like, you know, when he usually gets up. So I thought you would also maybe be glad that I had woken you up so you didn't, you know, whatever. But he loves to sleep. I get that. And I also wish I hadn't taken so much of the blame. I wish I had taken a beat to really like let that sink in what had happened. And I was just like basically took all the blame. And I was like, I feel crazy. Like I feel like you're, you know, you now have this perspective of me and, you know, don't remember me that way, whatever. And I was like, I wish you all the best. So I kind of did assume that we were never going to speak again. But the fact that he didn't say anything to me in the morning, I don't think he was going to say anything to me. Here's my thing. Even if you thought I was crazy and I did something wrong, I was very much owed a response of at least being, or him texting me being like, hey, I didn't appreciate that last night. It was pushing past my boundaries. That was weird. It gave me the ick. I'm done. Like, I don't want to see you anymore. We have literally never spoken again.
Yeah, the ghosting of it all is a problem. I mean, like, yeah, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Like, shouldn't have taken the blame or whatever you want to say. I mean, like, maybe giving it like room to breathe. But at the end of the day, like, it's kind of nice to figure that out or have someone show you who they are. Because if they're going to just like not respond to you, at least just be like, yeah, good luck to you too.
Well, like
yeah,
something,
I don't know.
Even something, even though I said like you, and he had told me, he was like, yeah, before, and more so when it had been a few dates, he'll be like, I'll just like never speak to someone again if I'm over it. And the thing is, so like red flags all around. It's a red flag if someone's telling you they're in love with you after 3 days. But it just felt fun. And I was kind of going, and I hadn't dated someone in so long. And I was like, whatever, this is going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah. Sometimes you need those like crazy whirlwind, just like passion for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, my friend Amanda told me this phrase after. And by the way, she was like, her, Raleigh, you, everyone was like, no, that's fucking, my sister was like, that is fucking insane. He was a weirdo. Mean. Something was weird. It was unkind. And maybe I was crazy. I'm giving like, look, I banged for 5 minutes. So I'm like, maybe that was too much or whatever. But I sincerely, he's a deep sleeper, thought he was just sleeping and couldn't hear me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I'll like look at it from all angles. Perhaps I was wrong. But at the end of the day, we had a set plan. He told me, he didn't even say like, make sure I'm awake. He said, let me know when you're on your way. Amanda said something that was so beautiful that I love. And I want everyone to hold on to this who's having a hard time dating. She said, whenever anything bad happens in a dating situation and it falls apart or whatever, I always like to tell myself, this thing's on. And she tapped her heart and she said, this thing's still on. And I was like,
that is really
I really
nice.
love that. And it was profound. And I was like, it had been so long since I'd even liked, it had been a year since I'd even liked someone. So it like really did feel that way. But I wanted to share that as my own hometown hero because I felt like a nut job and it seemed kooky and maybe I was in the wrong for that, but I still very much was owed something. And so we just never spoke again. And I'm someone, if I'm not getting it, I'm not giving it. So I did not feel the need to reach out again. Like it spoke volumes. You didn't say anything and it is better. But we're saying I'm in love with you in a serious way. And we're about to go on a trip to Mexico and you literally just never speak to me again.
That is wild.
Wild. So yeah, I don't know. It still haunts me though, that I'm like, what would have happened had I not done that night? But it would have exploded at some other time over something else. So it is what it is.
Yeah, the fact that he was able just to turn it off with you that quick.
Well, and then I was like, and I am someone who will take accountability. I used to be a crazy person. I wasn't trying to be, and I don't even think what I was doing was crazy, but I was like, maybe he thought this girl will show up anytime if my kids are there, and he was being protective of his kids, which I get. But the thing is, your kids weren't there. We had a plan.
That was unnecessary. I don't know if he's using that as an excuse to like do his thing and not talk to you again, then that's just ridiculous because it's not like you tried calling him and he didn't answer. And so you got concerned and then showed up. Like he was fully expecting you. You were you were coming over.
We had a plan.
I would have done the same thing. I'd have been like, wake your ass up. I drove all the way over here.
Oh, and he lived
and now you can't get
it was like 30 minutes from where I lived. And also, I'll say that.
I would have called his ass back and be like, listen, motherfucker. I just drove over the hill to hang out with you because we decided on that. And you can't even wake up and you're going to talk to me like this? Go fuck yourself.
Also, maybe I'm different, but if also I'm in love with someone and I fall asleep and they show up at my house and wake me up, I'm thrilled.
It doesn't make any sense.
Curious if you guys have any thoughts on that or anything that happened to you similarly. Would love to know. Anyway,
broken into anyone's home.
Have you ever showed up like a weird nightcrawler? Anyway, should we get into some hometown heroes?
Let's do that.
Get into what these people are doing? Okay.
Yes. I like the title of this one.
Nicole says, from espresso to entrapment, my unplanned sleepover in a Portuguese cafe. This is so funny and so upsetting.
I wonder if they had those. Did you eat all the little the custardy pastries? What are they called?
I can't remember, but I loved them when I was there. I would get in.
Anyways.
Hello, Coven Queens. Okay, so Avi, love you both. Katie, girl, you've always been my numero uno on Vanderpump. Like, literally amazed by how you manage to stay sane when surrounded by all the tomfoolery. LOL. And Dana, you're definitely my dream blunt rotation and probably the only person I would want to spend the night in Lizzie Borden's house with. One of the highest compliments. I love when someone's like, you're in my dream blunt rotation. I love that. It's like such a fun compliment.
That is a great compliment.
So thank you. I also have a condom stuck in my body for Day's story to share in case you want to hear that one. Of course, we want to hear that one.
Ugh.
Okay, let's get into it. This is long, but I think worth it. I'm taking you back to 2014 where peplum tops and cute little denim skirts were highest fashion. I was a junior in college and spending my second semester studying abroad in Granada, Spain. The 6 months I spent in Spain produced some of the most unhinged stories of the day, including a hospital visit because of a cracked skull after a 24-hour carnival party, almost being kicked out of my program for smoking weed, befriending the drug dealer behind the black door, and so much more. Anyways, the story takes place on one of the weekend trips I took with some of my new study abroad friends. We went to the perfect little beach town, Lagos, Portugal. We stayed at a hotel on the beach right near the plaza with the clubs and the bars. We were on our way to the club after dinner and I ran into a group of British guys. I went up to one of the guys I thought was the cutest, asked him if he was single and he said yes. And I said, take me to your hotel room now. Laughing my ass off, who was she? Isn't that what studying abroad's for? Like, great.
Yes.
And he was like, well, luckily it's right here, pointing to the hotel we were in front of. So we went up, had some pretty wild, weird sex, including shower sex, which was wild because I was fully dressed and ready for the club. So I don't know what I looked like after that. So I immediately leave the hotel when we finish and go meet up with my friends. I get into the club and immediately order shots for myself and a group of guys I literally just walked up to. I paid for the round of shots. So crazy because I was so broke living abroad. And this giving girl just couldn't be stopped. That's also a thing when you're drunk and you're like, yeah, I'll buy all the shots. After pounding those, I then locked eyes with one of the guys I bought a shot for. Oh my God, this is so long.
This is long.
Oh, fuck. We began making out in the club. He was also British, which for a girl who didn't speak any Spanish and definitely didn't speak Portuguese was great. So we'd be making out all night. And then we Irish goodbyed. I went back to his. So I start to come out of my brownout in this man's hotel. I'm not pleased with what I see. AKA my girl Kiki Palmer would say, I'm sorry to this man. So I gotta go. Oh, I've forgotten to mention, my friends and I are supposed to leave the hotel to go back to Spain at 11 a.m. So this guy's dead asleep, but I plan my exit. I get dressed fast and check my Spanish flip phone. I had to get when I moved because I couldn't afford minutes on a regular phone. I leave this man's residence and head out the front door and down some stairs. I'm fully unaware of what time it is. And because I'm still drunk, I somehow make my way into this gated area, which I thought was an exit. I enter the gated area and the gate shuts behind me. I look around and I'm in an outdoor cafe. There's literally a sign in Portuguese that I think has different types of coffee drinks written on it. I turn to open the door to the gate and there is no handle or anything to open it from the inside. So I try pushing and pulling and it's not opening. I am starting to panic a little, but I'm also still drunk and not fully sure what's happening. I start to walk around the perimeter of the cafe looking for any opening or door to escape out of. Again, my phone is dead and I'm not realizing I'm literally locked inside this fucking cafe and it's not even opening for a drink or a snack. I'm not joking. I cannot find an exit. I am in full-blown panic and climbing on tables trying to see if I could escape out the top. So I decide to just take the chairs off the tables and sit down. I sit there for I don't know how long just thinking to myself, you're a dumbass. After what feels like 16 days, the sun starts to rise and I'm like, okay, this is good. People are going to come start getting coffee. Only to realize it's Sunday and a lot of places in Spain and Portugal are closed on fucking Sundays. I don't know if you remember when I mentioned I don't speak Spanish very well, let alone Portuguese, but eventually I start to hear someone's lawnmower going. I realize in this moment I'm going to have to start yelling something for someone to know where I am. I start yelling, ayúdame, help me in Spanish. I yell, ayúdame, ayúdame, ayúdame for literally 30 minutes. The sun is filling up in the sky and it's starting to get hot and you just know she has no sunscreen on her.
Oh gosh.
Finally, there's a large wooden door at the end of the walkway in front of the gate to the cafe opens to the street and a sweet older man walks up to the cafe cage and opens the door. I nearly throw up on her because I'm so happy and grateful and she's looking at me like I'm the scariest monster she's ever seen. I had to get in a cab and tell him the name of my hotel. And he's like, wow, that's far. Haha. And I was like, excuse me. We proceed to take a 40-minute cab ride back to the hotel. I was literally in another city in Portugal. I get back to my hotel at 10:30 in the morning, walk to my room, and my friends are so fucking pissed. which obviously I get. Oh, and P.S. I guess us girlies were all little kleptos in our teenage years because the amount of clothing I stole from Target growing up is actually absurd, but also fuck Target. I'm proud of what I did to them. Anyway, sorry this was so long. Love you. Bye.
I liked all like the weird like anecdotes and tangents that were in the story.
Yeah, I'm like, is this me telling a story? That is so funny. And I can imagine your panic, especially if there's a time frame. I'm really type A and I obviously always show up to when I need to be, where I need to be. But I had a similar situation happen like this when I was in Tulum. I hooked up with this guy and it was 5 a.m. and I had to be back at the hotel at 7:30. And I had the worst blisters of my life. And so I couldn't walk with my shoes on, but it was a gravel road all the way down to my hotel. And he was very gentlemanly and walked me all the way back to my hotel. But by the time we got there, or maybe it was a little bit later, it was like 7. And I got, and it was Katya actually was packing up the room. And I got in and she gave me a look and I was like, I know, I was always going to make it on time. I packed my shit in 30 minutes and we head out. But I'm really glad you made it back.
That is stressful. The not knowing what time it is and the dead phone would send me.
Oh, terrifying. And then I had one when I was in Mexico again and my friends did this. They went out and got lost and it was actually really scary. And they showed up, same thing, like 30 minutes before we had to leave. Everyone was pissed. We got to the hotel, we got to the airport and she was literally throwing up in her bag. And they almost didn't let her board the plane. And I was like, I will leave you here. You made this choice, but we got her through. So
Jesus.
Anyway, we all know that working a small business means you wear many hats, sometimes a trucker, sometimes an accountant hat, but sometimes you really need an extra pair of hands. Upwork is how good companies find great and trusted freelance talent.
Upwork has more than 2 decades of experience with a simple and ambitious goal: to pioneer a better way of working.
Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way they staff key projects, initiatives by accessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web dev, AI, design, admin support, marketing, and more.
Posting a job on Upwork is easy with no cost to join. You can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level.
Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free.
That's Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Once the temps started rising, I realized
hot in here.
Yeah, and I realized I was back in the same worn out routine, same tank, same shorts, same everything. So I gave my daily uniform an upgrade with Quince. Their pieces are easy, elevated, and somehow make me feel more put together without even trying.
Literally. I ordered the 100% European linen shorts. Guess how much they were? $29.90. Are you kidding me? Quince also has luxe swimwear, Italian leather platform sandals, and so much more.
The best part? Everything with Quince is priced 50 to 80% less than what you'd find at similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middleman, Quince gives you luxury without the markup.
Plus, Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. Daddyless behavior, if you ask me.
Absolutely daddyless behavior. Treat your closet to a little summer glow up with Quince. Go to quince.com/disrespectfully for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns.
That's QUINCE.com/disrespectfully to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/disrespectfully.
Danielle says, "Hi ladies, huge fan of you two and love the pod. This is a short tale of mischievous behavior from an angsty teen. For context, I live in Canada and the legal drinking age is 18 where I grew up. Back when I was 17, I lightly participated in some underage drinking activities, as most adolescents my age would often engage in." It's like so eloquently put. We got fucked up. One night in particular, my dad somehow caught wind of this and confronted me the next day. As a side note, I was one of those teens who was a high-level athlete and working to get an athletic scholarship to university. So getting caught technically breaking the law was absolutely a no-no. I grew up with lots of house rules, curfews, you name it. I also spent most of my free time playing sports and training. God forbid I wanted to have a little good old fashioned typical teenage fun. Exactly.
Wait, did you have those rules as like a cheerleader?
Oh, I had curfew. And cheerleader. Like, I'm just like, God, this fucking sucks.
Whack.
I want to go crazy. I want to go balls to the wall. Anyway, sorry. Now I'm going on tangents. Should I tell some side stories? Just kidding.
Yeah, let's hear your last hometown
After
hero.
admitting to my wrongdoings, my dad asked me, so how many beers did you have last night? To which my response was, I don't know, maybe 6. In response, my dad said, well, since you had 6 beers, you can run 6 miles straight. That's like a marathon, right?
That is corporal punishment.
I mean, from there, I shamelessly geared up for my 6-mile-long trek, which consisted of running a loop in my neighborhood twice, which would result in my total 6 miles I've been ordered to run as punishment. My first 3 miles felt good. I was running at a good pace and didn't feel terribly short of breath, despite getting absolutely sloshed the night before. Oh, to be 17 again.
Ugh.
Right? On my final 3 miles, my dad joined beside me riding his bike. I believe this was to check in on me and make sure I didn't die from the insane punishment bestowed upon me. To his surprise, I was still running at a great pace, still not short of breath, and I may have been smiling, even enjoying myself. To say he was not pleased with my overall demeanor was an understatement. He continued to ride beside me in silence until we arrived back home. When we got home, I turned to my dad, beaming with endorphins, and said, wow, I can't believe how great I feel. At the time, I didn't realize this, but my dad was so furious at this point. He could not believe his wild punishment completely backfired on him. He was hoping to find his poor daughter struggling and wishing they never decided to have a few beers the night before if this was going to be the consequences of these actions. As a blissfully ignorant teen, I went on my merry way and continued to occasionally get sloshed since I knew I was essentially an athletic demigoddess and no amount of beers would shake me. Fast forward years later, my dad confessed his feelings about that day to me, and we still have a good laugh about it to this day. I also found out later on that my dad had also partaken in some underage drinking activities when he was 14, and he always suspected his dad knew, but never actually confronted him about it. What a freaking hypocrite, am I right? Gosh, I love the patriarchy. Anyways, the story is a bit of a moot point because I'm now over 2 years alcohol-free and I feel better than ever. Love you, bye, Dano.
Congratulations on 2 years alcohol-free. That's awesome.
That is amazing. But like, when you have your youth like that, you can drink everything under the sun and wake up and I didn't know what a hangover was. I thought I understood. I never got hungover.
Totally. And it's funny that was the punishment and she liked it. I also feel like, I mean, when parents do these weird type of punishments, I think I've told the story before when I came home hungover at 6 a.m. after like sleeping in a gym in an apartment that we broke into. My mattress was on the wall. My mom was like, time to deep clean your room, and wouldn't let me lay down. I was like the most hungover I'd ever been in my life. But
that's awful.
Steph says, a small town Iowa girl here again. Love you both and the pod. Let's get into it. In 2010, I was a senior at the University of Northern Iowa, and my group of girlfriends went out to day drink for our best friend Stacy's 21st birthday. Stacy got absolutely obliterated, as one should on their 21st, by 7 p.m.
Nice.
I was throwing up by 10 p.m. in the stall of a bathroom in a gross bar for my 21 run, so I get it. As we drove back to a friend's apartment to put Stacy to bed and continue the party, Stacy can barely make words and starts stiffening her whole body in the back seat by saying she has to shit. We got to the parking lot. We unload her out of the car as fast as we can. Stacy takes 2 steps, squats, and shits her micro mini jean skirt. Without skipping a beat, a friend announces, oh, she's really doing it. She's shitting in the street. Stacy proceeds to remove her thong and leave it in the parking lot. We forced her into the shower, changed her clothes, and she rallied to party. To this day, the group chat I still have with that group of girls will randomly say, remember when Stacy's shit in the street? And we all have a good laugh. Hope this makes you belly laugh.
My issue is like not wiping.
Oh, well, they showered her. It's so luckily they were horrifying.
Where did they shower her?
Well, it sounded they were getting back to an apartment.
Oh,
yeah, in someone's apartment. No, the whole
thank
thing
God.
is,
okay, so she was in the like. Did they clean up? Did they get a doggy bag and clean up her poo-poo?
I mean, also the fact that she was able to still go out, because when you're losing control of your faculties and you're shitting yourself, that was one of like 2 or 3 times my whole life I had ever completely blacked out, threw up, was unconscious. I woke up in the morning at 10 a.m. with my contacts in my eyes, which I never did, fully dressed from the night before, was like, oh, it's my party tonight. Nope, party was last night. You didn't make it. So that was that on that.
I mean, listen, I cannot hang. I'm getting my hangover before I even have the opportunity to rally. And once that comes, it's no good.
No. Crazy.
Oof. All right. We'll do one more. J&S says, hey girls, We are two Canadians who just started listening to your podcast on our drive down to California for Stagecoach. We were slightly triggered listening to the Hometown Heroes and thought we had the perfect story to share with you. When I first met my best friend through a job in healthcare, there were rumors regarding her involvement with a certain doctor. She's a nurse for reference. After many months of friendship, the truth came to light. I'll let her tell the story. Long story short, I was recently married and moved towns to pursue my dream of being an OR nurse. Then I met him. He was also married. We ended up both having a 4-year affair, although mine was less complicated as I was already apart from my husband and did not have kids. We constantly talked about being together forever, kids, and logistics. I thought he was my soulmate. While I was technically separated, he was still actively living in the lie, giving me hope. I even had an unplanned pregnancy and thought it was a sign that this relationship was really meant to happen. Unfortunately, I had a miscarriage, blessing in disguise. We continued to talk about our future, and I was told by January that he'd have everything sorted out for us to continue life together properly. January came around and he needed more time. I was agreeable because at this point, it had already been so long and he did have kids to consider. Fast forward to April, I found out through a rumor passed along by my colleague that he knocked up another nurse who works in the same hospital as myself. And she was 6 months pregnant before he confirmed it. The kicker is she was his ex who moved to our town to follow him many years ago. He then continued to pursue things with me until November, when the child was born in July, and he was actively living with his second mistress. This man, he's a doctor? How does he have the time? Anyways, it took me a long time with a lot of therapy to finally grieve and realize I should hate this piece of shit. Pretty fucked up for a small Canadian town. All in all, it worked out for me. I'm happy and moved on to a much healthier, happier situation. And I'm glad the universe secretly knew that was best. The universe secretly knew that was best even when I didn't. Everything happens for a reason, and thank fuck for that. Yes, your podcast and mini Celsius got us through 5 states of driving. Thanks for being so relatable. All our love, J and S.
Damn. Did that doctor have a breeding fetish? Why are you married and trying to get a bunch of people pregnant?
Why do you have multiple mistresses that you're not like being careful? Like, I don't know. That's a real like scary individual who's like has the full marriage, kids, has one mistress, planning a future in life, telling them I'm gonna whatever. Then you got another mistress, a baby mama. Like what?
Also, get a divorce. I just do not understand that. I know it's like financial stuff, kids, but just more people should get divorced when they're cheating and things are weird.
I was talking about this recently, like why people cheat, and it's just like because they want to like have their constant. It's like, well, when you're constantly cheating, just do whatever you want. Like you can fuck whoever you want when you don't have somebody else that you're like hurting and dragging along for it.
Crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for sending those in, guys.
Glad we kept you company on the drive. Should we solve the world's problems?
We shall.
Anonymous says, Dear Disrespectfully, my best friend has started dating this girl recently who just turned 20. My friend is 30. Before, we would all hang out all the time, text all day, talk about anything and everything. We would joke around that we were SpongeBob and Patrick because whenever we were together, we'd just goof. Ever since she started dating this girl a couple months ago, she's become distant. I was there for her through her divorce, and now we barely talk or text. The last 3 times we've made plans to hang out, and she's canceled last minute. Now it's been over a month since we've seen each other, and it doesn't seem like she's putting any effort forth to change that. I've addressed it multiple times now, and she just manipulates the situation. She says she's a bad friend and it's all her fault, and it makes me feel bad for trying to ask her to communicate, but doesn't ever put any change into anything regarding our friendship. I pointed out to her how behavior has changed, and she accused me of being jealous of her girlfriend. I'm not jealous. I just miss my best friend, and I feel like I care more about our relationship than she does at this point. Do I move on and accept the way things are and let us outgrow our friendship, or do I keep trying to save something that may or may not be there? WWDD. For this one, I think that sometimes there is a period when someone is dating someone and it's new and they're excited, and perhaps they neglect their friendships. And I don't know, maybe just in my older age, I've gotten more understanding of that. Like I get it when people are going through that early honeymoon phase and are insufferable. It's, it takes some time, but because you said recently, I don't know how long they've been dating, but if it's something you voiced over and over, I hate when someone's like, you're right, I'm a bad friend. Like that attitude is a red flag to me. And then also when they say you're jealous of my significant other, even if you were like, I think it's also great if the other person has compassion and understands, like, we used to spend all this time together. Our dynamic has changed. There's an adjustment period for both of us. It doesn't seem like she's being very privy to that. So I would say if you've had this conversation multiple times it's probably best to just let sleeping dogs lie. And maybe it won't be forever. I think that maybe she's going to end up learning a hard lesson on her own, or maybe this is her person, and then it's just going to have to be something that you're going to adjust to. But my fear is if you keep pushing it and trying to have that relationship, it probably won't work between the two of you. Like, I feel like there will end up being a blowout. So it's sometimes better to just take space.
I mean, it's also like that's kind of growing pains too. Like, when I remember in 20s, like you'd have your friends, you'd literally hang out with all day, every day. You do like nothing with them. Like you just were hanging out all the time. And like as people get older in relationships, settled into their careers, like you just don't have as much free time anymore. It's just that is part of like growing up. And especially like once you're like older and like friends start getting like married, like you really don't spend that time with them, because then they're in a marriage, they're in a like a lifetime partnership with another person. So I understand like at first there can be an adjustment period. I mean, hello, I'm experiencing right now basically like that, like you do want to spend all your time with that person, and like you do have to like still prioritize friendships, even if it's not as much as you were or something. But I think as you get old, people become more understanding of that. And I think if she's canceling plans on you, that's on her. That is being a bad friend. But again, yeah, I agree. Either she's going to learn a lesson, or this will be a person, they're going to end up together and it'll sort of balance out. I don't know. But I think, yeah, start focusing on the friendships with people that have the time and energy for you, I think. But yeah, understand that this is part of growing up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your feelings are valid. Like, it's okay to feel the way you feel.
Of course. No doubt. Because, I mean, who knows? You can meet someone tomorrow and now you want to spend all the time with them and you don't want to be called a bad friend for it. But like, hopefully you can also learn from this and know how you don't want to treat people.
Right.
Okay.
Agreed.
Susan says, hi.
Hi.
Day one listener here. And despite not being a day one Vanderpump girly, I do pride myself on the fact that I binged seasons 1 through 10 in less than 3 months to prepare for season 11. That's insane.
Crazy.
I've been to and love Something About Her twice, as well as all the VPR establishments in the LA area. However, it's Team Katie and Dana forever. I've been wanting to write in for a while now, but between plucking my chin hair last night and a random woman offering me 3 boxes of free Girl Scout cookies while walking my dog this morning, I figured there's no better day than to finally bite the bullet and write to the disrespectfully queens. I, female 31, am recently engaged to my partner, male 26, after 5.5 years of dating. Despite being a lot younger than me, this man is the absolute man of my dreams. He treats me well, works hard to provide for us, protects my heart, and I can honestly say I've never had a partner that even compares to him. Damn.
Love.
I'm happy for you. The biggest problem in our relationship is his mother.
Uh-oh.
I mean, already some keywords jumping out. Your relationship should not include his mother. Just saying.
Yeah.
I will try and keep this short, but I need to explain some of her unhinged behavior so you can grasp what we deal with regarding her. She's had a hard time accepting that my partner and I do not want children. She says, God put us here to reproduce. LOL. Ugh, barf. My partner and I are spiritual, but not to that extent. And to be honest, she isn't either. She just wants a rebuttal to us not wanting children. We are from a very small East Texas town, and so many people have told me stories about her saying the craziest things about me and her son. Last Mother's Day, when we were getting ready to leave, she locked my partner and I in her house and would not let us leave. When she stood in front of the door, I tried to walk out the back door. She pushed me down before I could escape. She hit my partner with the door, leaving a huge mark on his arm, and screamed unhinged things like I am the devil, poison of the family, a whore, trashy, and that my partner needs to grow backbone because he is pussy whipped. Insane. Why did she do this, you ask? Because I didn't accept her follow request on Twitter/X. Despite me trying to calmly explain to her that I haven't used this app in years, it escalated to the above. I have not seen her since. My partner has a few times. He went there for an hour or so on Christmas Day. She got mad at him for staying such a short amount of time. He goes through periods of not speaking to her due to the way she treats him and I, and her trying to guilt trip him for setting clear boundaries. The famous, I am your mother, how could you treat me this way? And I cannot believe you are letting that woman control you. Now that you have a better understanding of who she is as a person, here's my problem. We're having an engagement party soon at the home we recently purchased together. I told my partner it was completely up to him if she will be invited. I, of course, do not want her awful energy anywhere near me, near my house, or around my family and our friends who 100% support us. Even though I feel these things, I haven't told my partner due to the fact that I do not want him to resent me for not wanting her there. To be completely honest, I do my best not to show that. It hurts my feelings when he does speak to her, spend time with her, because I want him to make his decisions without any influence from me. It's difficult for me to grasp because I know that if my mother treated him the way that his mother's treated me, I would simply cut her off. It's easy for me to say that because my mom would never do such a thing. Our therapist tells us it's very important for him to make his own decisions regarding his family, and I completely agree. However, I'm still allowed to feel hurt by his decisions, right? I guess my question is, how would disrespectfully navigate this? Thank you so much for reading. I'm going to get a Costco hot dog now. Oh, I'm jealous. Okay, love you, bye. God, that's hard. Because I agree, like with the therapist, and what you already know is that like he has to make these decisions. Like it needs to be up to him. You cannot let him grow to resent you for these things. You know, obviously a relationship with a parent is sensitive and nuanced, obviously. But of course you can feel that way. I would feel the same way too, because it's not coming from a place of like, you don't like this woman. It's coming from a place of like, you care about him and you don't want anyone to treat him that way, treat you that way. You want him to have some respects and prioritize you in this matter as well, even though you can't come out right and say it. You want it just to be like just the innate thing that he does because it feels like the obvious thing. But it might not. I don't know. I mean, I would maybe try to bring it up in a place like therapy if that's what you guys do consistently, because that conversation could escalate really quickly. But if it's in a therapy kind of setting, maybe your therapist can help navigate and work out those feelings that you're not trying to control him. You're not trying to tell him what to do. You're not giving him ultimatums, but that you have some real valid feelings. Yeah,
I think this is such a difficult position to be in, but she's the one who's putting you in it. And I don't necessarily know that this is the type of mom she is, but there's nothing worse than a creepy boy mom who's up his ass and around the corner and acts like it's her boyfriend. But the way she spoke to you is unacceptable. And while I do think it does need to come from him and be his decision, like Katie said, I think therapy is a great place to talk about this. You're going to be his wife. And at some point, the family that we had growing up, dynamics and roles change. And I think your partner should come first. And if your parent is harassing your partner, that's a big fucking problem. Like, and then those are the kind of parents that are like, I don't know what I did when you cut them off. So I think that therapy is a great neutral place to have these conversations and air these feelings out. And I think it's wonderful that you're trying to protect him because you don't want to upset him or influence his decision. But this is the person you're choosing to spend your life with. And I can't imagine that this behavior is going to improve if this is how it's already being. And who knows, maybe he has a tough conversation with his mom and she gets her act together. But I think that you do not want to set the precedent that the rest of your life, this person is going to be treating you this way just because it's his mom, you know?
No, I think that's absolutely insane.
My partner's mother called me
a whore, trashy.
Where did that go?
The devil.
A whore, trashy, the devil, and say he needs to grow a backbone because he's pussy whipped. I would punch her in her goddamn mouth. Don't do that. I'm not at all advocating for violence, but those are legitimately fighting words.
All because of not accepting her follow. That's fucking crazy.
So what happens when you don't answer her call in a few months? Like, what a weirdo.
No, there's people that want this type of access to your life, to their children's life is so unhealthy. It's so toxic. But
I hope this helps. Hope you're enjoying your Costco dog.
Yeah, girl.
Those Costco burps. Worth it every time. I don't know about you guys, but I want to live a long and luxurious life. That's why I've been using Function. Function is an all-in-one health platform that starts with over 100 advanced lab tests covering the entire bod: heart, hormones, liver, kidneys, thyroid, autoimmunity, cancer signals, toxins, nutrients, and more.
Function Health is about taking control of your health through data. Instead of guessing what's happening inside your body, Function helps you know for sure, providing access to over 100 advanced lab tests. These tests include insights into thyroid function, hormones, liver health, heart health, autoimmunity, kidney function, nutrient levels, heavy metal toxicity, immune system, electrolytes, and more.
Most traditional annual checkups only cover 19 biomarkers. Function Health goes 5 times deeper, giving a comprehensive view that allows you to catch potential issues early and take proactive action. Your first set of tests helps establish a baseline for your health, giving you a starting point to compare future tests against. This makes it easy to spot changes, even subtle ones, and address them proactively.
Lifespans are decreasing, chronic conditions are rising, and cancer is becoming more common in younger people. Knowing what's happening inside is key to prevention, which is why comprehensive testing is so important. Unlike some companies, Function doesn't sell supplements or prescriptions. The insights you get are unbiased and solely focused on your health.
At $499 annually, the membership includes the cost of 100 plus lab tests through their nationwide lab partner. There are over 2,000 locations nationwide, making it accessible to a wider audience, and compared to traditional healthcare costs that could reach up to $15,000 for these exact tests.
Health is universal. Function Health is for anyone who wants to understand their body better and make informed decisions for a longer, healthier life. Function currently has a waitlist, but they're offering our audience the chance to skip it. Head to functionhealth.com/DRF or enter code DRF when signing up to skip the waitlist.
Anonymous says, "Hi ladies, longtime fan of you both and listening to your pod religiously. It's the highlight of my week. Recently, you responded to a listener about feeling the need to become a parent and stressing out about timelines. Dayna, you said something that hit close to home. I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it was about not wanting to have a child when someone isn't willing to be a parent. I went into my marriage knowing my husband is emotionally unavailable. Like quite literally shuts down if I confront him about any issues. He's a hands-off love kind of guy. There's no cuddling, romantic touches of love, etc. I know there's a soft spot in there, so I'm okay with it. He has a different love language than me and I accept it. But we had our first baby 3 months ago and he's the same way toward him. Holds him only when necessary, doesn't understand our baby's emotions, or when he cries, he gets frustrated. On top of that, he knows I'm going to take the charge, so he avoids helping or watching our son. Nothing pisses me off more when someone's like, the man is babysitting or watching their son. You're not, you're fucking parenting.
Yep.
He does a lot around the house, which is nice, but it prevents him from being attentive to our baby. I do the morning routine. I'm home all day currently. I do baths, bedtime routine, and middle of the night feedings. I've begged him for more help. I literally cry that I need a nap sometimes, but he's never taken the initiative to give me a break. My dad passed a week ago from cancer and we just fought about it and I feel like I'm spiraling. It's been so hard to be a good mom, but also letting myself grieve. Some days I just want to be in bed all day and cry. I just need a break. I've cried to my husband. I've let my anger build up to where I explode. Nothing has helped. How do I make it register to my husband that I need him to step up more? I suck at asking for help and I don't want to step by step tell him what needs to be done. It's a common fucking sense thing you'd think. I'm starting to resent him. He's getting defensive and it's affecting our marriage. Any advice is welcome. Also, kudos to you single parents out there. You're fucking champs. Parenting is the hardest job I've ever done. It's amazing and so wonderful, but it's damn hard. Thank you, girls. Much love." I am so upset for you, Anonymous, and love you and obviously understand losing a parent. I mean, especially at such a delicate time in your life. Like, first of all, please don't be hard on yourself. You are a great mom. The fact that you're even prioritizing that when you're having a mentee be because you want to grieve and you don't have the space to just do that is incredible. I will come over and watch your baby for 3 hours while you nap. I'm like so upset for you and so mad for you. And I don't know if you have community of anyone else, of friends and family that you can lean on. You shouldn't have to. Your husband, we'll get to him in a minute. He's in the basement. But if there's anyone that you can lean on right now, please, God, do give yourself a break. Nap if you can nap. If you can have someone just help you for even an hour. I'm so sad for you. Your husband needs to grow the fuck up. And unfortunately, men typically are who they are in relationships in their parenting style. So I'm not surprised by this. I'm also not blaming you. I think, thank God he helps out around the house. But if you've had this conversation with him multiple times, I think you need to have a really serious one and decide what you want the rest of your life to look like. I don't know if you have the means to leave and live on your own. If you do, and that's something you're considering and this is wearing you down, I would have that conversation in a serious way and say, this is not okay. I say that to him. I shouldn't have to explain this to you. It's common sense. You have to be a hands-on parent. It's not just you do the house stuff, I raise our child. You made the choice to have a child, so you need to step the fuck up as a parent. And if you're not willing to do this, I will do X, Y, and Z. I don't know what that is for you. You will have to decide. But I also think don't threaten and not be able to hold the boundary. So make sure it's something that you're willing to do, but you need to let him know how much on the brink you are. And you just lost a parent. He should be catering. He should be doing the lion's share of everything, including parenting, just right now while you're getting through this hard time. It's sickness and health, better, worse, helping out. So I just think it's so upsetting and he needs to straighten up and fly right.
Yeah, it's the weaponized incompetence for me. It's the emotional immaturity and unavailability that he displays. And those things, unfortunately, don't get better. You think that they can. You think having some more responsibility like fatherhood would wake them up or wake something up inside them. It never does. And that's a really hard realization to come to. And I think in my marriage, that's where it was as well. Like that I was like you said, you see like a soft spot in there. So you're fine not having like cuddling or random touches and things like that. So because you see a soft spot, that is basically falling in love with someone's potential. Choosing just to see these like little glimmers of potential of who they could be, or coming to conclusions about what things mean or what they don't mean. And that just ends up in a life of like spiraling into like the unknown. I think it's really difficult. And obviously everyone has to like kind of get to these sort of places and come to these answers on their own. But right now, like you have another life to consider. You just lost your father. Like I think you really need to turn to yourself and for the, for any kind of self-care and self-love you can get. And like Dayna said, reach out to people, family, friends, anyone in your community that can help you.
Also, I have never been in this situation myself, but I've seen someone go through this and be in this kind of situation. But I kind of like, there's nothing more lonely than being lonely in a relationship.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like feeling like a single parent in a relationship.
In a partnership.
So, and I know no one wants to be a single parent, an infant. And again, these are your decisions. I'm not at all like pressing that on you. I just think that you really need to evaluate and have a serious conversation about him. And
if he's not giving 100% to your relationship, he's not giving 100% to the child, like he's not going to.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but he's probably not going to.
I'm so sorry you're going through all that. Sending you the biggest hug. And yeah, if you're in the greater Los Angeles area, I'll come babysit.
Dayna loves.
She loves a baby. Let me tell you.
Jess says, "Hi, beautiful women. I'm a big fan. This story begins back in the 90s when I was in college and my best buddy, we'll call him John, he had a friend he wanted to introduce me to. I'll call him Jim. John's band was playing one night and I ended up meeting his friend. Jim was adorable, pretty eyes, great dimples, and a good sense of humor. He was wearing a red ball cap and a wife beater resembling Fred Durst. Can I say wife beater anymore?
I don't think so. Let's just call it a tank top.
I don't think so, but yeah. Anyway, not sure if the term's been canceled. It probably should be. But I digress. We flirted throughout the night and we had a small kiss. I dubbed myself the makeout queen back then, but I didn't want to give it all up that night, as I thought he might be somebody I could get serious with. I didn't want to come off as easy. The term easy is funny to me too. He asked me on a date and I was thrilled. The next weekend he picked me up from my apartment, and no hat this time. He looked like he put effort out to look good in the way he dressed. But there was one glaring problem. Before I go on, I'm not someone who finds looks to be that important, and I normally even went for nerds or guys with prominent noses. But I couldn't take my eyes off of his hairline. It was slightly red with what looked like doll hair poking out. He had an obvious hair transplant. He was 26. I thought those were reserved for red Corvette driving midlife crisis guys. I would have totally been attracted to him if he were bald, but the hair plugs really turned me off. He also had like 1/4 inch bald strip on the back of his head from where they took the hair. I was very nice to him all night, and then I told him I was tired. The next time he called, I thanked him for the date and then made up some story that I couldn't get over my ex, so I didn't hurt his feelings. Am I an asshole? Now, whenever I see John, he calls me shallow and tells me how much money Jim makes and I could have been his wife. I don't care about money that much, but I don't think I'm shallow, am I? I find confidence sexy in men and hair plugs scream insecurity to me. What would you two do? XOXO Jess. Jess, I'm not saying like you're shallow or anything like that, but like sometimes men want to do something to improve their appearance. The same way girls get hair extensions, and not all hair extensions are great. Yours are great, but sometimes I've seen horrific hair extensions.
Yeah, are you kidding?
And, men are supposed to swoon over that. Like, I mean, there's a lot we do. We do way more than men will do, but I'm just saying, let them live. I know that like, that's like one of the main insecurities that men will have is like losing their hair. And honestly, like, give me a bald head, sexy. Give me that Jason Statham, Vin Diesel, fucking, I don't know.
I saw a guy
Bruce Willis, sexy bald head. I love it.
His hair started at his ears and he finally let his girlfriend shave it. Literally within seconds, he looked 20 years younger. Like he looked so good. And I'm like, can we please just either let men get hair transplants in peace or shave your head? We love a shaved head, especially with like some scruff. Like it's okay to shave your head.
I think that, yeah. So, I mean, there's no problem with having a preference. Like you just like, you don't like blonde guys. You're just not going to find them attractive. Like that, like there's just certain things that you just like aren't, it just doesn't do it for me. Like there's certain things that I'm just like, I don't care. There's a lot of things I don't care about. I mean, I think as the older I get, the less I prioritize those things, because I've just noticed that like when you're with somebody for such a length of time, like none of that shit matters. Like you want them to be a good partner. You want them to be loving. You want them to make effort and like prior. Like that's way more important than someone's hairline, somebody's color of their eyes, someone's height, someone's weight, someone's anything, you know, like I think people become so much more attractive to you when they are like a really wonderful person, when they're loving, when they're caring, when they're confident, all that stuff comes. So, I mean, maybe this was like a younger you thing. I don't know. But I think we got to let the men live a little bit when it comes to their hair.
Oh, I'm not saying you're shallow either, but I get a hair transplant also if it makes, I understand what you're saying, but like also his hair is going to grow in and you're not going to notice it. And I know he's 26, but a lot of men suffer from hair loss early in life.
Some of them go gray when they're in their 20s. They start balding in their 20s. Like that's something they cannot always help.
Well, and also I have a newfound compassion for this because my hair fell out when last year I was having hormonal problems and it was so devastating and stressful. Hair is so important to men and women. So I would say it doesn't mean he's insecure. He's changing problem. Like you said, I have hair extensions. I get Botox. There's things. It doesn't have to do with insecure. Like my nose. I love my new nose. It just like sometimes you want to make improvements and let men live and we seldom say that. For the most part, annoying. But
I know, but
I just live.
I have like compassion for people who aren't happy, who are insecure about something.
And they can do something about it.
And they can do something about it. Then sure. Like, I think, I don't know. Do you want him just to be bald or do you not want him to have hair? Like I was unclear of like what you would have preferred. You just were calling him insecure and lacking confidence because he got a hair transplant.
Yeah. I'm very pro hair transplants if it makes someone feel good.
Yeah. Take a trip down to Turkey, to Istanbul. You see nothing but red scalps.
And guess what? When it grows, a lot of them look great. So just let them live. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Hope that helps.
Hope it helps.
Anonymous says, hello, disrespectfully. Apologies for how long this may be, but I'm a chronic overthinker and future lawyer. So I want to bring all the evidence to court, aka both of you, to make my ruling. So here it goes.
Court in session.
Does my close friend secretly hate me? We met when we were in our early 20s, working in a place that hired a ton of young people and it was super fun. We were both single for the longest time, and needless to say, we had a lot of fun drinking, traveling, and bonding over our dating horror stories. We lived together for a year. We kind of grew apart in our late 20s just because we got careers, lived about an hour away from each other, got into relationships, but still considered each other to be close friends. The past few years, I have hit a few pretty big milestones, and I don't feel like she has been genuinely happy for me, or at least isn't enthusiastic. I'm super confused on how she feels about me, and I need advice, opinions. Here are my examples. I got engaged in 2022, and when I FaceTimed her, she seemed like she was happy, but she wasn't. She asked to talk to my then fiance and asked why he didn't include her in the plans, and it seemed like she was half kidding, half not. He laughed and just said he wanted it to be a surprise, but it felt awkward. Here's the weird part about this. A month earlier was my 30th birthday, and she texted me the morning of saying she was sick. I had a feeling this was a lie, but whatever, no biggie. Later on, I found out through a mutual friend, she said she thought I was getting engaged at my party, and she said she couldn't handle seeing that, as she had gone through a rough breakup a month earlier. To her credit, I did ask her to be a bridesmaid, and when I got married, she was fine the day of. For the past few years, we made it a point to take each other out for dinners for our birthdays. This year, I had a birthday get-together at a dive bar, and she RSVP'd no with no explanation. She texted me happy birthday, but no mention of going out to dinner. Took that as a sign that maybe she doesn't want to be close anymore, but was okay with letting go. But then she asked if I want to go out and catch up soon. No occasion. I say yes, we go out. I'm graduating from law school in a few weeks, and she said how great it was and asked if she could come to my graduation. I truthfully told her I only get a certain amount of tickets that are going to family, but that it was sweet of her that she wanted to support me, and I'll let her know if we do something after. Fast forward to weeks later, and I got an award at school for public interest work. I posted on an Instagram story about it. I rarely post on Instagram, and my husband posted something about it, and I figured, why not? I should too. Because I went through hell in law school, and I'm proud of my accomplishment. As you should be. That's amazing. And while I didn't post it for any validation, I did not literally get anything from this friend. Not a text, a clapping emoji, not even a like on the story, and I know she saw it. So disrespectfully, is she being an op? I try not to be too harsh because she was diagnosed with BPD in 2023. I can handle drifting apart and catching up every now and then, but it hurts when she does and says things that make it feel like we're closer again, then pulls away. Feels like whiplash, and I feel like she has a love-hate relationship with me. But maybe I'm being crazy. This is actually nothing. Your advice and opinions are appreciated. As always, love you both. I think that maybe you guys will work it out in the remix. Go listen to the Lord Charlie XCX song. I don't think it's necessarily in this case. I definitely think I've had that in my life where you find out your friend secretly hates you. I don't think that she secretly hates you. I think she's going through a hard time. And in the way that look, I will use myself as an example. Do you know how many friends I've watched get engaged, get married, have babies? And while I'm not totally sure how I feel about some of those things for me, even just having long-term partnerships that I admire, I have been happy for literally all of them. I am never a hater. I'm happy. I want everyone to win. I want you all to have good things. But there were a few that happened recently that I was like, I am so happy for you, but I really want it to be my turn. Like I want to find my person and whatever. So I understand her feeling that way, and maybe it was just too much. And I think that maybe she's battling between wanting to be a good friend and having a hard time in her own life. Also, BPD is a very, very hard diagnosis, and totally have compassion for her about that. However, your feelings are valid. And if you feel like maybe it is a thing where she's suffering in silence and so she pulls away, but then if she comes back and it's too much of the back and forth from you, I think it's totally okay to back away and just, you can have a conversation. You don't even necessarily have to, but I think it's telling that she didn't like your Instagram story. I don't care what anyone says. It means something when you have a good friend that's not engaging with you.
You get very upset about that.
100% I do, because it does mean something. They're not celebrating your wins. There's a reason for that. And I think that it's okay to maybe take a step back. And if you want to have a conversation, just say, look, I love you and I understand where you are in your life. This is what I've noticed. Here are specific examples. Curious how you feel about it. Or you can just pull away and kind of see how she reacts to that. But my guess is that she'll re-engage when you pull away. So you might have to have a conversation. But I think that two things can coexist. You're not crazy for feeling this way, but perhaps she's having a hard time. I think there's a different way to be an op and like literally hate someone. Like, I don't think she's sabotaging you. I think she's just sad.
There's not I don't think. Okay. I also think it's fair to remember like how did they say they were?
She was kind of just listing off what you were just saying about being at a certain age, getting into a career, being married.
Well, yeah. So I think, again, we have to understand that like when the people you meet in your 20s and become good friends with, like your lives change so significantly and at different paces as well. And so when those things happen, like your friendships change. Like I have friends right now who I love dearly, but we don't have the same type of dynamic in our friendship anymore. They're like married with kids, but it doesn't mean that I'm not happy every time I do get to see them. And, it's just, it can be, and sometimes it can be hard because you feel like, oh, well, if I had kids, would we be closer? If I was married still, would we be closer still? And I don't want to think like that. I don't want to think that they're judging me or putting me in a different box, but like maybe they are a little bit. I started prioritizing different things like when my marriage ended, and obviously it would have been nice if friends could, not everyone had compassion, but I think it was like there was like a sort of an air of like, oh, well, you have this going on, so I just, and I don't go out anymore and I don't party. I'm like, I sit at home on my couch.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly a party animal. So I think recognizing that your lives are just looking a little bit different and trying to figure out how you fit into it. And also like maybe have you ever asked this person yourself to go to dinner, or they just didn't come to your birthday and that was it? Like how much effort have you put into like maintaining trying to see the person? It goes both ways.
Yeah.
So if they're making an effort and you're like, no, sorry, just the family's coming, they might take that as a little bit of a slight. I don't know. Have you said like, let's get together the next day or that week sometime though to celebrate together and have a special time? Like, are you suggesting those things, or are you just saying no the same way they say no? Like, I think you got to kind of be a little critical of like how you have been in this as well.
Yeah. And girls, it's so confusing sometimes to be a girl. So I get it. Hope this helps. Love you.
I hope it helps. Okay. This is the last one. Catherine says, hi, Katie and Dana. Day one VPR watcher, and both you're going to love me and disrespectfully listener. Thanks. I love your podcast. Your genuine friendship and authenticity shines through every episode. At one point, I was listening to every VPR member podcast. I drove a lot for work, but yours is the only one I still do. Thanks. So here's my WWDD. My name is Katie. My name is Katie. In my first week of college, I met my friend Dana.
I'm going to be honest. I glanced down and saw Dana first, and I was like, no one knows how to spell my name, but you spelled it correctly, mine at the top. So thank you. It's Dana with a Y. Love you so much.
Yeah, her friend Dana spells it without the Y.
Without the Y.
We had so much in common and instantly bonded. We became fast friends and eventually moved in together as roommates. We are now in our 40s, and despite living in different states, we have always kept in touch and have visited each other / gone on trips, etc. We have always had the type of friendship where we can go months without talking and then call each other and it's like no time has passed. The last time I saw her was right before COVID, where she shared with me that she was pregnant. I was so happy for her because I knew she was going to be an amazing mom. She ended up having a small wedding because it was her second and, of course, COVID. So I never met her new husband. We still kept in touch, and I was happy that things were going great for her as she deserved it. So now to the present day, we probably haven't spoken in about 2 years. She's definitely the last one to call me, and I owe her a phone call, but I can't get myself to do it. I am super ADHD, so I'm awful at returning calls or texts, so it's not unlike me. Over the last few years, her social media has changed. She's become extremely political and has made it about the orange man in the Oval Office. I was shocked. We never talked about politics, and I've never been super into it, but currently it is hard to not be upset about the current situation, and basic human rights should not be considered politics. The Dayna that I knew was down to go to drag shows or gay clubs with me. One time we were the only two females at a male review at a gay club. So many penises. Oh my God. Amazing. But that's the story for Hometown Heroes. We had friends of all races, and we were not conservative at all. I have so much love for her, but I'm scared to death to call her because I am afraid that either her or I will say something that we can't take back and permanently end our friendship. I feel like I just let it be. Maybe she'd change her views in the future, or we might not speak again. And I could just fondly remember all the good times. I'm usually good at putting things on the back burner, but every time I listen to your podcast and hear Katie and Dayna, I can't help but think of her.
That's wild.
So what should I do? Should I call her and hope for the best, or just let it be? Kay, love you, bye. I kind of get that feeling of that, like, sort of stuck, like, I should call them back. But like, you know that, like, you're nervous about how the conversation goes. This was somebody who, like, didn't matter how much time passed. It felt like no time had passed. You just pick up where you left off. But now there's this sort of like pink elephant in the room where you're like, I don't know that I can just like chit chat with them and catch up about life when there's some glaring, obvious differences of life and opinions. But I understand also missing a person and wanting them in your life. I don't know. Honestly, I think you have to decide what your priorities are, what your values are. And if you want to have a conversation about it, then maybe it'll give you closure. So you're not sitting here feeling sad and missing somebody, that you can kind of like put those things out there. And if she's just not accepting of other people anymore, what you are, then you have your answer. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that it's not very Dayna behavior. I don't love this behavior. It's very un-Dayna-like to see what's going on in the world right now and be like, this is tight. I love this. I think there's a phrase that I love right now, and it is, at this point, it is no longer a difference in political beliefs, but in ethical values.
Yes.
So for me, I just keep saying that from the rooftops. And, you know, I know people think I talk about politics too much, but it's about human rights and dignity. So I understand that to draw a line in the sand, and it's very hard to have a relationship with someone right now who sees injustice and is just like cool with it. So yeah, I don't know. I think you might have to have the conversation. I will specifically say, this is what happened with my dad. There was one thing with us that I knew that if it ever got brought up, I knew what he would say. I knew he wouldn't apologize, and I knew it would be unforgivable, and I knew it would be the end of our relationship. And that's what happened 2 years ago. So I think that, you know, I don't know how you typically respond to things, but I'm very like put it all out there and just see kind of person. So I would say it's worth having the conversation and go from there, and know you might lose your friendship. But at this point, I feel like it could kind of snuff out on its own too. So it just depends on how you want to go about it. But everyone's entitled to their opinions, and you're certainly entitled to not be okay with someone being problematic and not wanting them in your life for those reasons. So do what feels right, sister.
Amen.
I'm sorry that your Katie Dayna dynamic is not working out.
I know.
Can't relate.
And I'm sure like listening to this makes you think about your friend all the time. So maybe you just need to rip the Band-Aid.
Which is what, because Dayna's not a super common name. So that's so weird. I'm sorry you have to hear this literally every time. If someone was like, my dad's name was starting a podcast, I'd be like, Anywho, well, hope all this helps.
Yeah.
Well, I am staring at my crusty heels, and I got to go run to the nail salon because my mom would be disgusted. If there's one thing about Julie, her feet were always done. So that was instilled in me early and often.
This is not Lord of the Rings here. No, Hobbit feet.
Yeah, I am very Frodo of it all. Okay. Well, have a great time wherever you are, and okay, love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Babe, you're going to see the power of women. Like,
Disrespectfully.